All right, everybody. Hey, welcome to the next episode of Kuhlture Keepers. We got lots to talk about today. So if you remember to like, subscribe, and share, all that kind of good stuff, and get this thing going. We've taken a little hiatus from the Kuhlture Keeper thing. We've had lots of things going on. We've got new people in here. So I'm going to introduce Maddie here in a second. This is Maddie. She's our social media gal. But today we're going to talk a little bit about her culture coming in, where she is a culture-wise before she came, maybe a little bit here, and the culture of money. So how money changes culture and things and stuff like that. So that's the main topic today, is the culture of money. So who are you and what are you doing here?
Well, I'm Maddie. I'm the social media marketing girl here.
Atta girl.
Yep.
And you liking it so far?
I love it. It's the best job I've had.
Why?
Just the culture. The people here are just it's so pleasant to work here. It doesn't even feel like I'm coming into work. It just feels like I'm coming and hanging out with friends all day, which is why I love it.
Cool. So if we paid you less, you'd still stay here?
Yeah, but don't do that.
Hey, where's the payroll guy? No, so it's a big thing, right? It's a big culture is a big thing. So we talk about that quite a bit here. Is we want people to be happy and feel comfortable and do their thing. So, but today we're actually going to talk about the culture of money and what the ominous culture of talking about money with friends, family, co-workers, things like that. I've been in jobs and careers before where it's taboo. You do not tell people what you're making. It's absolutely unneeded and uncalled for, or this, that, or the other. That's okay too in some jobs, because you just can't just divulge some of that things, because it causes more problems than it could.
Yeah.
Government jobs, everybody knows. Public knows what you make. So I was in the government jobs for 24 years, and every public knew what I made. So it's not a big deal to me to say what I make and what I do with my money, and also talk about net worth and how net worth can help you guys out there with your culture of money when you start talking about it, on how that can help you become more financially secure in your future. So you being as young as you are, that is a big deal to me. That's one of my goals, is to have the culture of money be an easy discussion and talk about that with everybody in here and help you become a millionaire. So when you have children and have a family, God forbid you pass away, your children have, after they sell all your stuff and pay off all your bills, there's $1 million left over. So that's a goal of mine for everybody in the company. So how do we do that without talking about it, right? Everyone says they want to make money. Everyone says they want to make this much, but making $100,000 and spending $100,000 every year is really not getting you anywhere. It's not going to help you retire, right?
Nope.
So what did we talk about the first thing we did when you came in here? What did we talk about? Did you get a pay raise or a pay drop?
Pay raise.
Pay raise.
Yeah.
And what did we talk about that pay raise?
We talked about saving that extra money that I was making, because I know that I could live off way less than what I'm making now.
Yeah.
So.
Because you were living okay and doing your fun stuff when you want to do fun stuff on the pay that you were doing before. So now that you got extra pay, if you push it aside,
Put it in
investments and things like that, IRAs, however you want to do that, talk to some accountants, talk to some financial people, however you guys want to do that, stock market, however you guys want to do that. But doing that didn't change your lifestyle, did it? But it's going to when you're older, isn't it?
Yep.
So that's the big thing we wanted to talk about today, is that taboo of money. So let's talk about net worth and how we can set that up for people to easily do. How do you do a net worth sheet? Do you know how to do it? Because we haven't gone through the whole thing yet.
Not really well, no.
How would you? Good. So for those of you that have never done a net worth and never thought about it, how would you do it?
You told me it's like the things that you have, like your house, the car, stuff like that.
Okay.
Correct?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. So take all the things you're paying for, and this is everything, your bills, right? So this could be your all your required mandatory bills, your cars, your insurance, all your stuff that has to go out every month, and we're going to bring this net worth thing into a monthly budget, right? With all of this, some of these things don't count for net worth, because if you're paying your insurance, how does that affect your net worth? Well, it does, because your cash in your bank is part of your net worth. So when you have to pay more for insurance and internet and things like that, your net worth might be going down every month because of those bills. And that's what I want everyone to be thinking of. So in your net worth statements, everything that you owe on is in one side of that net worth sheet. Everything of what it's worth goes in the middle, and the equity of it goes off to the other side. so that you can look and say, okay, this is what I'm owing on this, and there's my monthly outcome. I make this much, and hopefully you're making more than what's going out. If you don't, you better start looking at those bills.
Yeah.
Right? So, and we've had to do that before with folks, and because they didn't realize that they had 4 subscriptions for Audible, right? So if you don't go back and look at your subscriptions, you might be paying $9.99 a month 4 different times for the same thing. So you got to pay attention to that thing. So if you're not paying attention to your finances, that stuff gets missed for extended periods of time. If you go in and look at this at least once a month, I look at mine every week so that I can see, hey, is there anything I can get rid of? Am I duplicating something? And every once in a while, I'll actually cancel my credit cards and get a new credit card. Why would I do that? When you cancel your credit card, what do all the creditors do? Hey, you missed a payment. Do you want to reset it back up on a credit card? Okay, so they'll reach out to you and you go, whoa, what do you mean I got 4 Audible accounts? Or what do you mean I'm paying for that? I ended that a year ago and they're still charging your credit card. So if you cancel that credit card, you don't have to renew going in, as long as there's no renewal period that you renewed for a year or something like that. It's a good way to check sometimes if you have a lot of things on your credit card or whatever, to go ahead and do that. So checking your finances, what's going in and what's going out every month, is really, really important to be able to set that goal of, okay, now I know I'm making X amount and I need Y amount, or of that X amount, I need this little Y amount right here to go over into something else to create my net worth to go up, okay? Because we always want that curve going up. Stocks, bonds, things like that, sometimes they go up and down, but it doesn't matter. If you long-term hold, they're going to go this way. And if you do the short-term thing, I don't like doing that. Some people do, and that's okay too. So how do we do our net worth then? If we got all our bills, now we got them set up. Now I look at my car, and let's say my car is a $20,000. I paid $20,000 for it. I owe $10,000, and it's only worth $12,000, because maybe it's only worth $10,000. So your net worth is zero. If I paid $20,000, that money's gone. My net worth went down $20,000. My car I've had for a little bit, and now it's worth $10,000, and I owe $10,000. So I owe, it's worth, that's a zero. Now let's say I owed $10,000 and it's worth $12,000. That $2,000 rolls over into the net worth, and now our net worth is worth $2,000 more than what it was before. So you got to pay attention to what you owe on your vehicles and on your house, and if you have a RV or any of that kind of stuff, you put all that stuff down. What's in your cash accounts? What's in your retirement accounts? I don't necessarily use life insurance unless it's like an indexed universal life insurance, something that you can finance against or use, because you can actually utilize that money to make you more money. So that'll help out there too. So talk to your financial advisors about doing that. But knowing, the big thing about today is the culture of you knowing what you're spending, what you're making, and what can I do with that other money, so that in 30 years from now, I'm independently wealthy and no one has to worry about feeding me. So what did you think that first time when we started talking about that? Did you ever talk to your parents about money?
No, barely ever.
So
it was very, very weird when you guys were asking me about my money. I was like, whoa, what? Because that's just not something that's normalized at all.
So was it painful, or was it just awkward, or was it just like, oh, this is kind of cool? What was that to you?
No, it wasn't awkward or weird. I actually appreciate it because no one does talk about it, but it was kind of just like a shock because it's not normalized at all to talk about money.
Yeah, and it's not normal, and I would like it to be normal for all the yous out there. All you guys out there, it should be normal to talk about that stuff. Now, like I said, in some professions, you should not talk about what someone's making over someone else, but you can talk generalities, right? Yeah. With your X amount or percentage. So what I do with my commissions, I pay myself a commission on every sale that I do, just like I would an agent. So when I do that, I don't do it. My beautiful bride does, but she'll take 31% of that thing and take it away. And she puts it away for taxes. I typically don't pay 31% in taxes, which means that whatever is left over from the taxes goes into our investment account. At the end of the year, we pay our taxes off, the rest goes into our investments. So it's going up and up and up. But the big thing is like the book Profit First, and we talked about that a little bit, and Money Master the Game, Dave Ramsey, all those things. We'll talk about that stuff in a little bit. But having the idea of a smaller plate. So I think it was on Profit First. It might have been another book. They talk about eating on plates. Back in the 50s or whatever, our dinner plates were like 9 inches. They were small. And you'd fill up your plate and you were told to eat everything on your plate. Now our plates are almost 12 inches, right? And so guess what? We're getting more weight gained on everybody because our plates are bigger, so we're eating what's on our plate. It's no different than the money, okay? Smaller plate. You had a smaller plate before you came here. You got a little bit bigger plate. Let's keep eating off the small plate and put our leftovers in the fridge or in the freezer to hold on to them for later till we can figure out what we want to do with that stuff. And that's the premise of talking about that. Big question for you. We talked about this a little bit. When we see what appears to be an extremely successful person, and they're driving around in a Rolls Royce, and they have a big old mansion, and they're spending the Rolex, and they got all this stuff. How do you know they're actually making money? How do you know they even have money?
You just kind of assume.
You assume it,
they're
right?
driving that nice car.
Yeah. Do you, it would be staggering to know the stats of how many of those people are overextended.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes because they used to make a bunch of money and they're used to that lifestyle and they just keep spending it. And the next thing you know, they're going bankrupt. And that does happen. And at no fault to most people, but you have to pay attention, right? So do you take advice from that type of person that you know really doesn't have any money, but they're driving around nice stuff? Or do you kind of want to take advice of someone that says, I have a net worth of $4 million, $10 million, $15 million? Those are the type of people I want to talk to, right? I want to talk to the folks that have a high net worth and say, how are you doing that? How are you disciplining yourself not to spend that money? How are you disciplining yourself to put it away? Do you mind giving me tips on putting it away? Things like that. So I was fortunate enough to have several conversations with John Shin. And John, if you watch this podcast, I'll send it to you. But John will know what I'm talking about when we talk next. And John had said up on stage one time, he said 3 words, which really made a big difference in my life. And it was ask without fear. And I thought that was kind of interesting at the moment, but then I thought back to myself. I had been to a lot of conferences and seen a lot of very high net worth people, very high net brain people that I really, really wanted to meet. And what I would do is, I'm very outgoing, is I'd go talk to them. And I'd have a conversation. I'd feel so good about it. And I'd shake hands and I'd walk away and everything was awesome. Until I listened to John Shin. And he said, ask without fear. And I went, oh my goodness. Why did I not, when I had the opportunity to shake that person's hand, say, could I take 15, 20, 30 minutes of your time to ask you some questions? Most people that have a high net worth that are good people, they're going to want to serve others. There's this hand that's asking for help, and there's this hand that wants to give help for most people. And so a lot of these people will want to help. So why not ask? So asking without fear. So he got off that stage at the break, and everybody in the place turned and started walking away. And I went straight up to the stage and did a beeline to him, and I said, can I have 30 minutes of your time? And John didn't give me 30 minutes. John gave me about 45 minutes, pretty much right then and there. I had a 2-hour car ride with him, just he and I having this conversation of money, and his insurance company that he has and all the things he does is mind-blowing. The movie production stuff that he does, just my books, helping people write books, it goes on and on.
Crazy.
And the culture was, he said, ask without fear. So I did. And guess what? I got all this time with him and learned a ton of stuff. And that's a lot of the stuff that I'm teaching the folks in here. I don't know it all, but I certainly can talk to people that do. Reading books. We talked about reading books, right? And I just gave you one recently, right? Are you going to grab it? Which one was it?
The money.
Master the Game?
No, money on your mind, something like that.
Was it the Dave Ramsey one?
I believe so.
One of the money ones.
Yeah.
So they're all good. So think about this. So Tony Robbins, if you don't know who Tony Robbins is, Google him. Most people do. He's one of the most well-known speakers and personality coaches in the world. And he spent decades writing a book called Money Mastering the Game. And Is that the one?
That's the
That's
one.
the one.
Yep.
So he spent decades doing that. So that's right, because I talked about how long it took to read that book. It's actually a thick book.
Yeah.
Most books you can read in 4, 5, 6 hours. This one's probably a 15, 20-hour book. But in 20 hours, so if you sat down and spent a couple hours a day for 10 days, in 10 days you can learn what he's learned in 40 years. It's insane. So if you look at high net worth people, most of them are going to be reading books and learning from these books because people spend their lives researching things, and you can learn that very quickly by grabbing these books. So what books do you read are kind of a telltale. So if you're talking to someone that you want to get to know or want to learn more about them, ask them what kind of books they're reading or what kind of podcasts they're listening to or things like that. You'll find out a lot about a person, and ask them if they're willing. Ask without fear. Are you willing to share your net worth with me? If they're not, that's fine. If they are, that gives you a little bit of knowledge of saying, wow, this is someone I definitely want to emulate and see how I can get to that place. Because most people with money want to serve others and help others.
Yeah.
One of the questions, I didn't get asked you in your interview on this question, but I typically do. So I'm going to ask you right now, so she has no idea this is coming. So this is good. Let's just, and you can use fictitious numbers. You don't have to use real numbers, but it doesn't matter. You just pick what you pick.
Okay.
To be successful, how much money do you think you have to make in a year?
Like the point I would like to get at, or just how?
Sure, any dollar amount.
I mean, I would say like maybe 100,000.
Okay, 100,000
Nice.
bucks. Poof. You now have $100,000 a year. Now what?
What would I do with it?
No, how much you want to make now? And what are you going to do? Yep.
I mean, probably want to make more.
Okay, so give me a number.
Double it and do 200,000.
200,000. Okay, poof. Now you're making 200,000. Now what?
Double it again.
400,000. Poof, it's yours. Now what?
Just keep
Going.
Keep
okay,
going.
so get the highest number you can think of. It doesn't matter. What is it?
$1 million.
$1 million a year. You're now making $1 million a year. Now what?
Probably just keep going until I want to retire.
Okay, so now you've done that and you've retired. Now what? You got all the money you could ever spend in the world. What are you going to do now?
Probably just be on a beach somewhere.
Be on a beach. Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Do you have the and I know you do. You're missing. You're missing. I know you have this in you. So I don't want to give you the answer. You're on a beach. You've been there for 2 years. Now you're bored. You got money falling out of your pockets. You're tipping well. You're doing well. What do you do with the rest of it?
Oh, I know the accounts that you add the money to.
Sure,
Is
you
that
can
what
do
you're
that.
talking
Invest
about?
more. Now you're even
Yeah.
making more money. Now what? What do you do with all that money? You gonna take it to the grave with you? What do you do with it?
No, I'd probably put it into accounts for my kids.
Okay, so give a little bit to family. What else?
I don't know. Probably buy some cool things.
Buy some cool things. Yeah, yeah. You got all the money you want. You got all the cool things you want. Everything you've ever dreamed of in the world.
I don't know. I'd probably just give it to people then at that point.
Give it to people. Interesting. So why? Why give to others? What's
Well,
that do to you?
It makes me feel good.
Makes you feel good. There took a little longer with her than she's stubborn that way. Tony Robbins has a saying that I love the most. It's even I bought the pen for $10. Tony, I paid $10 for your pen just because I had the saying on it, and it says the secret to living is giving. And so everybody I've ever asked that line of questioning to, they finally got to the point where I would give back. I would donate to charities. I would donate to my church. I would donate to the Children's Foundation, the Cancer Foundation. It gets to the giving point. That's when we feel good. So I'll ask you the question, does it feel better sitting on a beach sipping on martinis, or does it feel better helping the children at the cancer hospital?
Oh, the children, 100%.
Right? And
yeah.
it always comes to that, and it's hard to get there, and sometimes I ask that question a little bit wrong and didn't get you down that line, but it always gets to the point where people want to give more. So if you're able to give, don't you think you should know what your net worth is so you know what to give? So when we're talking about net worth, back to that, and we know that we have a net worth of, let's say, $500,000, and I'm going to give 10% away to charities. I'm going to give it away to the whatever charities I want. And now I'm at 450,000. If I look at my net worth and I know I'm a net worth of 4 or 500 and I'm going to go to 450 and I'm okay with that, don't you think that makes the decision making a little easier? So knowing your net worth, that's the biggest thing I wanted to pin down is that people do that. So tell me a little bit about your knowledge of money up till before you got here and what you did with your money.
I had none. I had no concept of money, what to do with money. I did not know a thing.
You made it.
Yeah, I made it, and
Yeah.
then I spent it like that.
Okay.
And I was just living paycheck to paycheck. I would say, okay, I need this much for rent, this much for bills. The rest, I just spent on anything and everything I wanted.
That's very normal.
Yeah, it is very normalized.
And I don't like normal.
Me neither.
Yeah. So the knowledge, does the knowledge help?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Mindset?
So much more. Yeah.
So tell me what you're doing now with your money and be honest.
So right now I have a budget that I follow because I made a budget after I started working here, so I know exactly, what I have to put aside for bills and rent, and then I look at the rest and I kind of break it up a little bit. So like if I want to go to a concert, then I have like a concert fund for that. I have money that I'm putting aside to put into investments, which my mom was very shocked about that, by the way. She's like, how do you know about this stuff?
Good.
And then,
now you can start talking to her about it, right?
Yeah. Now some I put in savings because I didn't have a savings account before I started working here, and which was bad because sometimes like when my car would break, I'd have to go to my parents for money because I didn't have that savings account. So now I have the savings account where I can go pull money from.
Didn't that feel good?
So good.
Yeah.
When my car broke down last time, I was able to pay for it all on my own, and it was wonderful. So yeah, there's a lot of things I'm doing different with my money now.
Good. And no offense to your parents, because I wish them the best and I wish them to always make wealth and as much as they can. Mm-hmm. My goal is to make you more wealthy than them at their age, right?
I hope
that's my goal. So no offense to your parents, but and that's actually a compliment to them, right? Because you are coachable and that's because of how they raised you, and that's good on you guys. And I would love to see that continue. So what kind of questions would you have about the net worth or saving money or the culture of it?
Well, when I first got here, I didn't really know anything about investments. So I was asking you guys a lot of questions about investments and what I should do with that money. And you guys kind of explained, the $50 here every month, which was nice. So maybe a lot of people don't know that, where it builds up. And then when you get to it at a certain age, you have all this money that's acquired over time, which I didn't know anything about that. So that was really interesting to learn.
So delayed gratification, right? Mm-hmm. So what she's talking about is my wife and I, when we first got married in 1992, we started putting $50 a month each away into a 529 account for our kids as college funds. Mm-hmm. We weren't even talking about having kids yet. Mm-hmm. But we thought, you know what, I never had money to go to college. She didn't have money to go to college. So I joined the Marine Corps instead. It was free. Not really. Paid with blood and all that stuff. But we put that money away and put it in that fund, and it just came out of our paycheck, and we never saw it. Mm-hmm. So we did that for 10 years. So it's $100 a month for 10 years. And that just went there. And then we had our first child, Jocelyn. Mm-hmm. And at that point, kids can cost some money. So we stopped putting money in it, and we forgot about it. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to when Jocelyn is now 19 years old and going to college, and we looked in that account, and there was over $40,000 sitting in that account. Mm-hmm. So guess her college, and by that time we had also had a second child, Derek, and we knew that we were going to give them both money. The stock market actually took off in the midst of some of this stuff, and it actually went up to 60. So what happened was it almost paid for both of our kids' college for their 2-year degrees. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have to spend any of it. And it's because we were disciplined and delayed gratification of what that could do. And the reason we found out about that is this, and I encourage you to do this, and I encourage any of you, it doesn't matter what age, just do this. My wife and I, when we were 1992, 93, I think it was in 93, we went to a retirement class. Mm-hmm. And we were in our 20s. And the instructor was looking at us the whole time. There's probably 50 people in the room. And the instructor is literally talking to us, and he's looking at us in the eyes, and he's ignoring the entire class, who are all in their 50s and 60s and 70s, because they were coming to a retirement class. And this was an retirement investment class. I think they missed the investment part. And So we went, right? They don't have time to invest anymore at that point. So he's looking, and some guy got mad and said, "Hey, why are you just, teaching to them?" And he says, "It's too late for you guys. It's like too late. You guys don't have time to compound and have delayed gratification. These guys do." And so we learned a lot from that class. And I wish I had his name. It's been so long ago, because I likely would have went back, and if I still find him, I'll go back and thank him for that class, because it gave me the mindset at your age. That's why I'm so excited to share what we've learned to all of you in this company, to show that the culture of money is not a bad thing. Eric Hatch, my real estate coach, says money is like oxygen. And I don't know, Eric, if that's yours, if you stole it from somebody else, but I heard it from you, so I'm using you. Money's like oxygen. You need it to breathe, right?
Yeah.
Money shouldn't be the root of all evil. It shouldn't be that, but you do need money to make the wheels turn and to give happiness and have happiness and things like that. How much money you need is totally on your budget and your deal. Some people are happy at $50,000. Some people are happy at $300,000. It doesn't matter what that number is. Find your money, find your net worth, find out where you're happy and what you want to do, and have fun with it. What else you got to say about that?
Oh, I agree. I think that even with going from living comfortably at a way smaller portion and then finding the money to be able to do all the extra things is really nice. And, being able to put it into investments is also really exciting. Cause
What's your thought of 50 right now? Does it even seem like it could be there?
No, not at all.
No.
But,
No.
if you start now, who knows, you could be retiring by then.
I remember when I was just out of the Marine Corps, and I was a brand new firefighter, brand new, just baby-faced little guy. And one of the firefighters had just turned 50. And he was built and just a tough guy, and he did not look 50. And I remember telling him, "Man, Dan, you look great. I cannot," because he had a 50th birthday party. I said, "I cannot believe you're 50 years old." And I talked to Dan a little bit about money back then too, and it was a really interesting thing that he had learned early on in age too. And I think he took that money, some of that money, and he invested in his health as well. So when you have that money, you can invest in your health and not be so worried about eating so poorly, or you can eat a little bit, because eating healthy is expensive, right?
It is so expensive.
Yeah.
Did you hear me talking to them up
No,
here earlier?
I didn't.
I came up and I was like, "Oh, I'm trying to eat healthier," and I was like, "But eating unhealthy is so much cheaper."
Yeah.
It's so expensive.
Long game. So if you're looking at the long game, is paying a little bit more for food now gonna keep you from paying hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical bills down the road?
Yeah.
Right. So culture of money. Big thing here is, Maddie, thank you for talking about it and being open about it, because a lot of, I don't want to say kids, a lot of young ladies your age wouldn't want to talk about it. And it's just good. Have the culture with your people, with your family. Talk about money. Figure out what you can do with it. You might even teach your parents some things, right? And that's great. I know nothing about what your parents' finances are, so there's no disrespect there at all. I just know that I want to have those conversations with everybody in my world.
Yep.
So I suggest you guys do too. So hopefully you like today's episode of The Culture of Money, and we'll see where this takes everybody. So until next time. And our hiatus will not be as long this time, so we'll come back in a little sooner. So thank you for coming, Maddie.
Yeah,
and,
thank you.
Thank you, guys. And remember, like, share, and comment, and all that good stuff, and help our channel out. So take care.